Okay, let's move on to Teddi Joe. So this was a fun little Google alert that I woke up to this morning in Us Weekly. So Jillian Michaels was on my other podcast. So I have two podcasts. I have Hashtag No Filter, which is all reality TV, pop culture. And then I have Hashtag Adulting, and Hashtag Adulting is more lifestyle and wellness. And so we did an episode a couple of weeks ago with Jillian Michaels, and it was a really great episode. This is not the first time I've interviewed Jillian Michaels. I love and adore Jillian Michaels, and I especially love and adore Jillian Michaels because she's gotten a lot of criticism from the press and from trolls online, and I think she's always handled herself very well when it's come to that sort of stuff, and she's had career longevity, and she's continued to build her fitness empire, and I've always had a lot of respect for Jillian Michaels. Now, so we had her on the show, and one of the questions that I asked her was about the controversy that Teddi Mellencamp faced this year with her program All In by Teddi. And so when I was reading the quotes in Us Weekly this morning, Teddi was saying, so in the interview, let me give you the full recap. So Jillian was on the podcast. Jillian then said, I asked Jillian about Teddi and the controversy. Jillian said, make sure you do your research, stay in your lane. If, don't divvy out of your lane. And if you are going to divvy out of your lane and jump into something like fitness and launch a program like this, then you need to make sure you have the evidence and the experts behind you and make sure that's ironclad. And Jillian said that her stuff is iron. Jillian, speaking of herself, that her programs and her books and everything are all very ironclad, and she speaks to all of the experts. And so that's why she, feels confident in the things that she says, and she doubles down on them like she did with keto, which also made a lot of headlines when I interviewed her about keto a couple years ago. Now, that got picked up and then, was all over the press that she was beefing with Teddi Mellencamp because she said stay in your lane and, make sure you do your research, which, she wasn't wrong in what she said. And so Teddi then invited Jillian on her podcast this week, and they did not have some nice things to say about us and the podcast and the experience on the podcast, which was a little interesting for me because I literally was doing Jillian Michaels' fitness app, my workout yesterday. I like Jillian. I support Jillian. I have the fitness app. It's a great app. I think if anybody wants, some real accountability, it's a great app to download, the Jillian Michaels fitness app. But so I was literally doing that yesterday morning. And then this morning I woke up and saw that she said that Teddi said that all these podcasters want to do is just they want clickbait and they want to bait people into saying things and cause a stir and all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, let me go back and actually listen to what we asked Jillian on the podcast. And instead of just relaying that message for you, I'm actually going to play it for you because I feel like if you actually listen to the questions that were asked of Jillian, they weren't bad questions. They were actually really... Here, so let me play the full clip for you so that you get the full context of what was actually asked of her and what was actually said of Teddi Mellencamp.
So we saw earlier this year or a couple months ago, mainly over the summer, we had a lot of influencers that kind of made some headlines. I think most notably Tanya Zuckerbrot, who created the F Factor, and then we had Teddi Mellencamp from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, who created All In by Teddi. They created these programs for people to either be more accountable, or they had diet programs that they had for their clients. And so we saw them kind of come under fire because there was a reporter, I think her name was Emily Gellis, who said that these types of diet programs or accountability programs are really dangerous because they are very restrictive. And when it comes to weight loss, restriction isn't healthy. And I know you've kind of definitely dealt with your own feedback from the internet and from reporters.
Sure. It depends. So restriction, first of all.
And then she goes on to answer the question about restriction and how it, the program really needs to be focused on the actual individual themselves and whether, depending on what their mental, physical, and emotional stamina are for participating in a program, that ultimately is what dictates what needs to be done. And then later on, so she answered that question, and then later on, I end up asking her another question.
That this kind of fitness empire for a long time. Do you have any advice to some of these influencers like Teddi or Tanya that, are kind of creating these programs that are gaining popularity and then they're getting a lot of criticism? Like, if they really believe in the programs, is this like a time to pivot? Is it a time to, retreat?
Sure. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about them.
Enough.
So, like, are they registered dietitians or are they certified nutritionists?
They have opinions.
Okay, no. Then this is where, everything I do, every book
And then she goes on to talk about how everything, every program that she does and puts out there is ironclad. Now, if you listen to what I actually said, I never once dragged Teddi. Okay, Abigail did say that they have opinions, and okay, that was a little saucy. But I never once. So Jillian asked if Teddi was a registered dietitian or if Teddi was a certified fitness expert. Teddi is neither. So when I said no, Teddi is neither a registered dietitian or a certified fitness expert. So I didn't lie or try to bait Jillian into being like, this woman isn't certified. Teddi's a wellness coach. She's a certified wellness coach. If you look at her credential, that is she's a nutrition coach and a wellness coach is what are her credentials. So no, she isn't a registered dietitian, and no, she isn't a certified fitness expert. And that's what Jillian asked. I answered that honestly. My question was, what advice, as somebody that has taken a lot of heat in the press, what advice do you have to these women? Is it a time to pivot in your career? That's what I asked, okay? That I didn't say I didn't say anything bad about Teddi at all. So for her to go on her podcast and say that, all these podcasters just, they don't do their research and they're just trying to clickbait something, like, okay, yeah, obviously, okay, maybe me asking a question about Teddi and Tanya when they did get a lot of backlash and they did face a lot of heat, and there were articles about Teddi's all in, several articles for like an entire week. There were all of these people and all of these Instagram accounts that were sharing all of these stories from people in Teddi's, or that were former clients of Teddi's, that came out and said that they didn't like the program because it was too restrictive. So it's not like me saying that she was in controversy or faced backlash. That wasn't an exaggeration. That wasn't like, that actually happened. So, but my issue, and look, I like Jillian. I adore Jillian. I love what she's built for herself. And I actually don't dislike Teddi. I didn't think she was a great fit on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I've been very honest about that. But I don't dislike either of these women, and I, commend their hustle. But like, don't come for the pot. Like, this is my issue, is like, because this has happened a couple of times now. It happened earlier in the year with Heather Chadwell, and then it happened a few weeks ago with Brandi Glanville, and now here we are again with Teddi Mellencamp, where you come for the podcasters, and you're like, oh, the podcasters. Like, first of all, talk about not staying in your lane, because like, guess what? Now you're all podcasters. Like, don't call out the podcasters and then join and then launch your own podcasts. But like, don't say I don't do my research, because I did do my research. And according to my research, you're not a registered dietitian and you're not a certified fitness expert. And I was asking for Jillian to give advice to you guys that had gone through these big backlash controversies, which Jillian has faced in the past, and she's continued to persevere, and she's continued to build this fitness empire, and great for her. So yes, I did ask her, what advice do you have for people like Teddi and Tanya? Maybe I shouldn't have called them influencers. I didn't know what term to refer to them as. Like, Tanya, I mean, they are, in a way, they are fitness influencers. They're very influential in the fitness world. And again, to my note, I think part of the controversy that Teddi faced was that the coaches that she had in her programs, and again, I've never done the program, but the coaches that she had in her program weren't all certified either. And that's kind of why people were upset, is that these other women or other coaches they weren't, as some people believed, credible, and neither was Teddi. And like, look, I have nothing against wellness coaches or, nutrition or like holistic nutritionists. I've interviewed many of them. Many of them are my friends. I don't have anything against them at all. But at the end of the day, the mainstream world doesn't like if you're not a registered dietitian or, as Jillian asked, a certified fitness expert. So you listened to the 2 minutes of that interview that, yes, it did get picked up and it was all over the press. And like, you know, I was grateful that the press picked up our show, and I was grateful, especially to like Us Weekly, because they cover our show a lot and they link out to our podcast, and I'm very grateful about that. You know, I do feel bad when like when people get dragged, but like, you know, I'm a podcaster. I report news. I ask questions of people. Stop getting mad at me for asking questions and, you know, delivering what the community of listeners, what everybody listening right now, what they enjoy. I give, you know, we all love reality TV. We all love these reality stars. We, you know, love Real Housewives. We loved Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Sometimes we loved to hate Teddi. This is what we do. Stop shitting on us for, you know, again, like keeping you relevant. Teddi, you were fired from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Again, I feel like I'm being a little shady towards Teddi, and I don't want to be, because I actually do not dislike Teddi. She has been invited on this podcast and on Adulting many, many times, and it came close to coming on the podcast. I think her PR team ultimately decided they didn't want her to come on our podcasts. I don't dislike Teddi. She can do her all-in program if she wants to do her all-in program. Like, you do you, girl. But like, don't come for me. I wasn't trying to come for you. Please don't come for me. I don't have an issue with you. I actually think Teddi followed me on Instagram up until recently. So like, you know, whatever. Literally whatever. I like Jillian. I like Teddi. I don't care to be in beef with any of them, but like, again, don't fucking call me, you know, shady or whatever, or say that I don't do my research, because I did do my research, or say that, you know, I just look for clickbait, because no,